Faithfulness to the source material is often seen as a criteria for being both a good adaptation and a good film in general. I don't hold this sentiment generally, mainly because you can still be a good film while being a poor adaptation of the source material. Disney's Hercules is probably the best Superman movie. Yes, I'm calling him a Superman figure, but he's a very poor adaptation of Hercules, his 12 labors, and his death. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, however, fails at being both a good adaptation and a good film. Look, I'm not going to go through this line by line, scene by scene, because I would rather not light my computer on fire with every single inaccuracy or just stupid moment, but here are a few issues I have with the film in general. Visually, this film is dull, gray, boring. This is supposed to be a fury. You know, one of those winged humanoid harpies who carry around whips to torture people because they are vengeance spirits? Um, what? You can do a lot with a bird. Camp Half-Blood looks dull, boring, and uninspired. Seriously, I will take the orange Camp Half-Blood shirts from the books over whatever this is, because this sucks. They also make the cardinal sin of Hades being Satan, even though he's not. But even then, does this demonic look inspire any fan art to you? No. This isn't inspiring, this is just dull reject Satan. The underworld itself also suffers from Hades is Satan, therefore the underworld is hell. But really, why? This looks so generic as hell, pun intended. This movie really should have taken a page from D&D with Medusa, because this Medusa is just Uma Thurman with snake hair. Give us someone who is actually hideous and awful looking, because Uma Thurman, I don't care if it's the script or the direction, she just comes off as a drunk woman with snake hair. She's not that intimidating. This film also takes liberties with its Greek mythology. I'm okay with the liberties with mythology, but the fact that they seem to strip away the creativity that the mythology originally had is a major minus for this film, mainly because the Lernian Hydra was a swamp beast who had toxic blood and, in some tales and adaptations, could spit poison. That would be cool to see. A toxic beast, not just a generic five-headed dragon who looks brown and red. I would have had the Hydra live in a toxic waste dump. It at least gives a more modern connection to an ancient Greek problem. The only time this movie is actually creative is through the casino scene. It's fun, colorful, and more importantly, integrates Greek mythology in the modern day pretty well. In reference to the lotus plants that got Odysseus's men completely wasted and made them lose all sense of urgency, it's a good metaphor for what an addiction does to a person. But speaking of a sense of urgency, let's talk about the plot itself. Not getting into the differences between the books and the films, because that's worth a video in and of itself. I will say that one change that sucked the most out of this was probably the sense of urgency. Throughout the film, Percy is aided by Poseidon's telepathic interference, first during capture of a flag, and later during the casino scene. Behold the dissolution of tension. Why the hell should we care about Percy's struggles when he'll end up getting bailed out by Deus Ex Machina? It's not like he's being bailed out by supporting cast members either, giving them something to actually do. Grover's insecurities and motivations from the book go out the window. Instead, he plays horny comic relief. Even his dramatic sacrifice is undercut by him being horny. He immediately goes into affair mode with Persephone because this movie doesn't know what the hell to do with his character other than try to be funny and instead be grating. What about Percy? I think I covered my issues with him when I talked about the casino scene. He struggles nada. It's annoying how easy this film is for him. What's more insulting is that they had the perfect setup for Percy to figure out what was happening at the casino scene, but they flushed that down the drain quickly. I mean, this guy here who's been there from the 70s, yeah, maybe should have been a heads up. Nope, this has to be spelled out for him because Percy's an idiot. Okay, what about Annabeth? You really think she would figure out the Lotus Casino flower trick because she's supposed to be the wise one, after all, daughter of Athena and all that. Also, I read the books after the movie came out, and she got the composite character treatment with the daughter of Ares named Clarice, meaning that she goes from murder eyes right here to needing Grover to free her, and then ramming Medusa with a car. She literally gets a 30-second climactic fight scene, which she basically wins, and then she disappears after that. Granted, she won, but still, it's quite pathetic that she ends up essentially fading into the background of the climax, doing nothing. These characters just are bumbling around, and I don't buy that they're friends one bit. The actors have no chemistry together because the script doesn't let them have chemistry together. Not enough time is actually given for them to actually develop any relationships. You want to make Grover's heroic sacrifice mean something? Then give some added context, such as him failing as a protector before. You want Annabeth to be the deuteragonist? Well, don't have her be a passive agent or background filler for half the film. You want Percy to actually grow into the role of protagonist? Stop having him get bailed out constantly and not doing anything on his own. Have him stumble around with his powers and have him sit down and think, okay, what the hell is this? Then you can make it come full circle at the climax. When I first watched this film as a child, I found it boring, and I didn't even read the books yet. When I watched this film recently, I still found it boring. Visually, it's uninspired and dull. Character-wise, they're underdeveloped and shallow. Plot-wise, there is very little in the way of tension because the plot goes out of its way to strip itself of any tension. I am hoping the Disney Plus series is infinitely better because this is bottom of the barrel crap. Okay, we're done here. Please consider liking, subscribing, and tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.